I never believed surprises could destroy a marriage, until the night I decided to surprise my wife on her business trip. The idea came suddenly, almost impulsively. For weeks, Elena had been distant, not cold, just somewhere else, distracted, uneasy, as if her thoughts were locked in a room I had no access to. She'd smile, laugh at my jokes, kiss me goodbye every morning, but something in her eyes flickered like a candle fighting the wind, and I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever she was hiding wasn't small. So when she left for a 2-day corporate conference, I told her I'd be busy, that my own schedule was packed. She didn't question it, didn't ask for details. She just nodded and said, "I'll call you before bed." She didn't. That night I stared at the silent phone on my nightstand, my chest tightening with a strange ache, part worry, part suspicion. The next morning her text arrived late. "Long meetings, exhausted. Will call you tonight, love you." But the message didn't soothe me. It felt manufactured, too neat, too polished, like someone writing the idea of a wife's message. That evening, while I was pacing the living room with a knot in my chest, my friend Rahul called. "Bro, you sound dead. Everything okay?" I told him everything, her distance, her silence, my worry. He laughed softly. "You're overthinking. Surprise her. Go there. Show up with flowers. Worst case, she cries happy tears and tells you you're dramatic. Surprise her." The idea hit me hard. And just like that, within 20 minutes I packed a small bag, grabbed the keys, booked the nearest flight, and rushed to the airport. I didn't tell her. I wanted her raw reaction. I wanted to see the truth, whatever it was. As my plane cut through the night sky, I rehearsed what I'd say when I walked into her hotel room. Maybe I'd knock dramatically, pretending to be room service, or maybe I'd slip in quietly if she left the latch open. I imagined her face, shock melting into joy. I imagined us laughing about how paranoid I'd been. I imagined kissing her forehead, telling her I trusted her. But underneath all that romantic fantasy, something darker churned. What if she wasn't alone? What if she didn't want to answer my calls? What if I stopped myself? I couldn't go there, not yet. The plane landed at 11:42 p.m. By midnight, I arrived at the hotel, a tall glass tower glittering with conference lights and corporate banners. I checked the guest list. She was registered under Elena Walker, Suite 1426 Suite. Why would a company pay for a suite for a regular employee? The doubt tugged at me again. I approached the elevator with shaky breath. Every floor we passed felt heavier. By the time the doors slid open on the 14th floor, my palm was slick with sweat. The hallway was silent, carpeted in red and gold. Only the humming of air conditioning broke the stillness. I walked toward room 1426. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. 5 steps away, I slowed. 4, 3, 2. Something was wrong. I could feel it. The air felt charged, like electricity before a storm. When I reached the door, I froze, because from inside the room I heard a sound that made my stomach twist so sharply it stole my breath. A deep, muffled thump, then another, then a low groan, and then a voice, a man's. My blood iced. "No, please, just hold still." And then Elena's voice, breathless, strained, almost desperate. "Just wait, don't." My heart cracked wide open. It sounded exactly like what every husband fears. Shock punched through my ribs so hard I stumbled back and hit the opposite wall. I had imagined many scenarios. But this, my wife, with another man on a business trip, moaning through the door, the world blurred. My breath came in shallow bursts. A ringing filled my ears. I wanted to crash through the door. I wanted to scream, to tear the room apart. But something inside me, some stubborn, trembling instinct, made me pause. The sounds grew louder, more frantic, but they weren't rhythmic or sensual. They were chaotic, strained. Like struggle, my mind wavered. Was she resisting? Was she hurt? Or was I just desperately hoping it wasn't what it sounded like? Another loud crash made me flinch. And then her voice, sharp, terrified. "Stop, please." The fear in her tone sliced through me. This wasn't passion, this wasn't cheating. This was something else, something dangerous. I pressed my ear to the door, hands shaking violently. The man growled, "You should have kept your mouth shut." Elena gasped, "You don't have to do this." And just like that, everything changed. My shock transformed into cold, focused fear. She was in danger. Someone was in there with her, and she was begging him to stop. My vision sharpened, my breath steadied, every nerve in my body electrified. I wasn't a jealous husband anymore. I was a man about to save his wife. I stepped back, positioned myself, and whispered, "I'm coming, Elena." Then I slammed my shoulder against the door. Once, twice. The wood cracked. Her scream made my blood freeze. Adam, no! My shoulder slammed into the door for the third time, hard enough to rattle the entire frame. Pain shot through my arm, but adrenaline drowned it out. Inside the room, something heavy crashed, followed by Elena's desperate cry. Adam, stop! He has... Her voice cut off. I didn't hear passion, I didn't hear desire. I heard terror. That single truth fueled me. With a final brutal hit, the lock snapped and the door swung open, slamming against the wall. The scene inside froze my blood. Elena was pressed against the far wall, her hair messy, her blouse torn at the shoulder. Her hands were raised in surrender, eyes wide with fear. And in front of her stood a man, mid-40s, tall, dressed in a hotel uniform. But one detail stood out. He wasn't security. He wasn't staff. He was an intruder wearing a stolen uniform, and in his hand was a metal object, long, heavy, and raised toward her like a weapon. The man spun toward me, rage twisting his face. What the hell? I charged. He swung the object, but adrenaline turned my body into instinct. I ducked, grabbed his wrist, and shoved my shoulder into his chest. We stumbled backward, crashing over a table. The lamp shattered against the carpet, plunging the room into dim emergency lighting. The man scrambled up quicker than I expected. He lunged again, but this time Elena screamed, Adam, look out! I turned just in time to catch the metal bar against my forearm. Pain exploded up to my elbow. Before he could strike again, I tackled him, slamming him into the wall so hard the framed painting fell off. He grunted, wind knocked out. I raised my arm for another hit, but Elena grabbed my shoulder. Adam, stop, you're bleeding. Only then did I feel the wetness trickling down my arm. A sharp slice across my forearm, but I didn't care. My focus was on the man who dared threaten my wife. He tried crawling toward the door. Oh, no, you don't, I growled, grabbing his collar. He twisted violently, kicking my knee, enough to make me stumble. Then he bolted through the doorway and sprinted down the hallway. Lena gasped behind me. Adam, don't go after him. He might have something else. But I was already running. I chased him down the corridor, heartbeat pounding in my ears. He shoved past a cleaning cart, knocking it over. Glass bottles shattered. I leaped over the mess. He reached the emergency stairwell door, slammed it open, and disappeared inside. I rushed after him, gripping the railing as I jumped down 2 steps at a time. He took the stairs like someone who'd done this before, quick, calculated, familiar. A professional. Who the hell was he? On the 12th floor landing, he grabbed a fire extinguisher and hurled it behind him. It rolled down toward me like a metal boulder. I dodged, almost tripping. By the 10th floor, I was losing ground. By the 8th floor, he vanished entirely. I froze, panting, scanning the dimly lit landing. Silence, no footsteps. No breathing, nothing. He was gone, like smoke. I slammed my fist against the metal railing in frustration. This wasn't random, this wasn't spontaneous. Someone had planned this. Someone had been waiting. Reluctantly, I climbed back up to the 14th floor, my arm throbbing. When I returned to the hallway, Elena stood shaking, hugging herself as if she were trying to keep from falling apart. The moment she saw me, her face crumpled. Adam! I rushed to her, holding her tight. She buried her face in my chest, clinging to me as if I were the only thing keeping her upright. I thought he was going to kill me, she whispered, voice breaking. My stomach twisted. Who was he, Elena? What happened? She looked up at me, guilt and fear swimming in her eyes. I didn't want to tell you. I stiffened. Tell me what? I didn't come here just for a business trip. My chest tightened. Not cheating. Don't jump, not cheating. Then why are you here? I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady. Elena swallowed hard, glancing toward the shattered table, the broken lamp, the blood on my arm. It started 3 weeks ago, she said. After the project launch, and I noticed someone following me. I blinked. Following you? She nodded. A man tall. Same build, same eyes. Her voice shook. I saw him outside my office, outside the grocery store, then outside our house one night. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to worry. And then, I got a message. An email, no name, just an address, this hotel. She took a trembling breath. It said if I didn't show up, you would be in danger. My stomach twisted. What? I came to protect you, she whispered. I thought whoever it was wanted me. I thought if I confronted him here, away from you, you'd stay safe. Her eyes filled with tears. But when I arrived, someone else was already in my room. I exhaled sharply, piecing it together. A stalker, a threat, a trap, and she walked into it alone. Elena, why didn't you tell me? Because I saw how stressed you already were. And we've been arguing, and I thought maybe it was my fault. Maybe I was creating a problem where none existed. But when he knocked tonight pretending to be staff, I realized everything too late. Her voice broke completely. He said you ruined everything, that you weren't supposed to come, and that now the plan had to change. A cold shiver ran through me. The way he disappeared, he wasn't working alone. Elena, I said quietly, what did he want? She hesitated. He kept repeating the same thing over and over. My pulse spiked. What? He said, tell me where you hid it. I froze. Hid what? She shook her head helplessly. I don't know, I swear I don't know. But the tremble in her voice, the confusion in her eyes, the fear, it was all real. Someone believed she had something valuable, something dangerous. I grabbed her hand. We're leaving, right now. She nodded, gripping me tightly. But as we walked toward the elevator, I noticed something on the floor. Something small and metallic glinting under the light. A single brass key with a number carved into it, 4810, storage level. Elena's face went pale. That's not mine. I pocketed the key. We're finding out what's going on, I said softly. Together, she took a shaky breath. Adam, I'm scared. I squeezed her hand. So am I. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Neither of us stepped inside. Because standing inside the elevator was the same man, the stalker alive, uninjured, smirking, as if he'd been waiting. Going down, he asked softly. The elevator doors slid open with a soft metallic chime. And there he was, the man who had attacked my wife. The man who vanished down the stairwell like a ghost. The man who had been hunting her for weeks. Now standing calmly inside the elevator as if he were part of the hotel staff. The dim overhead light cast sharp shadows across his face, making his smile look even more sinister. My grip on Elena's hand tightened. She stiffened beside me, her breath catching in her throat. The man tilted his head, going down. My heart thundered so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. He wasn't afraid, he wasn't running. He was waiting for us. That meant one thing. There was more than one trap in this hotel. Before I could answer, the man stepped back and pressed a button behind him. Don't worry, he said with a smirk. There's plenty of room. Elena trembled and leaned into me. I spoke calmly, my voice low. We're taking the stairs. The man let out a soft laugh. Of course you are, but I should warn you. His gaze drifted to Elena. Running won't solve anything. She knows why I'm here. Elena flinched. I don't, I swear I don't. He sighed, shaking his head as if disappointed. Still pretending? Even after everything? His voice held something chilling, something that suggested he knew her more than he should. I stepped forward, blocking Elena completely with my body. You're not getting anywhere near her. He raised his hands mockingly. Oh, please, if I wanted to hurt her right now, do you think either of you could stop me? I didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't move, and then a sudden ding echoed behind him. The elevator had reached another floor, doors opening again, voices spilled in, a group of conference attendees laughing, holding drinks, stepping forward. The stalker smiled wider as he slowly backed away into the crowded group. See you soon, he said softly, tapping the side of his temple. Then the doors closed, swallowing him. Elena collapsed against me, shaking violently. Adam, he's everywhere, I know. He wasn't even scared. I know, he knows something. Something I don't. I cupped her face gently. And we're going to figure out what it is, but not up here. I pulled out the key I had found earlier, 4810. Storage level. Elena, someone planted this, and he thought you had something hidden there. She swallowed hard. So we're going down there? I nodded once. We have to, it's the only lead we have. Her eyes filled with terror. Adam, what if it's another trap? I pressed her to my chest. Then I walk into it first. We took the emergency stairs again, slowly, carefully, listening for any sign of footsteps above or below. Every floor echoed with faint noises. A laugh here, a distant door slam there, but nothing that sounded like him. By the time we reached level 3, my injured arm throbbed. By level 1, Elena was trembling uncontrollably. The staircase below ground was colder, darker, quieter. At level 1, the air felt stale, storage level. The sign on the concrete wall read. I pulled out the brass key. The moment the key touched the lock, Elena stepped back sharply. Adam, wait. I turned. What's wrong? This place, it feels wrong. It's just storage. No. She wrapped her arms around herself. It feels like something's waiting behind that door. I gently held her shoulders. That's why we stay together. And whatever happens next, we handle it side by side. She nodded, but barely. I turned the key. The lock clicked open. The heavy metal door groaned as it swung inside. A cold draft hit us. The hallway beyond was dim, lit only by flickering industrial lights. Old pipes ran along the ceiling. The air smelled of rust and dust. We stepped inside. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Adam, I've never been here before. I know. We counted the storage units. Each was marked 4790, 4795, 4800, 4805. I slowed when we reached 4810. The lock was already broken. As if someone had torn it apart earlier. My pulse quickened. Elena, stand behind me. She obeyed immediately. I pushed the metal door open. Inside was a small storage cubicle. Cold, empty. Bare concrete walls, except for one thing. A single cardboard box, small, plain, unlabeled. But someone had left it in the dead center of the room, perfectly placed. Elena gasped softly, clutching my arm. Adam, what is that? I approached slowly, every muscle tense. The box was sealed with black tape. I knelt. Elena, step back further. No, I'm staying right here. I peeled the tape open. Inside was a phone, not a smartphone. An old flip phone, scratched dusty. And lying beside it, a photograph. My heart stopped. The photo showed Elena, taken from a distance at a grocery store, at her office parking lot. At our home driveway, she looked small, oblivious, alone. There were timestamps, dates, times. The earliest picture was taken 6 months ago. Elena, I whispered, handing it to her. She stared at it, horrified. That's when I started feeling watched. Then she saw something else, something written on the back in red ink. Her face drained of color. Adam, look. I flipped the photo over. It said, I froze. What belongs to them? I don't know, Elena cried. I've never even seen this phone before. Suddenly, the flip phone inside the box lit up. A single green blink, then again. Then again, someone was calling it. My heart hammered in my chest. Slowly, I picked it up. Elena clutched my sleeve. Adam, don't. I flipped it open. Human breath, slow and steady, filled the line. Then a voice, low, calm, cold. I warned her she should have come alone. My blood turned to ice. I stepped in front of Elena, shielding her completely. Who the hell are you? I demanded. The man chuckled softly. Oh, Adam, finally joining the game? Good, you're smarter than you look. Elena's grip tightened on me. What do you want? I growled. The voice paused, then responded. I want what your wife stole. She didn't steal anything. You really believe that? Yes. Then check her hotel room. I froze. What? You heard me, his voice sharpened. You're in the wrong place. The truth isn't hiding down there. Elena shook her head violently. No, I don't know anything, the man continued. Room 1426. The luggage, the inside pocket. Behind the lining, my breath caught. He knew everything. Then come back up, he whispered. I'm waiting. The line went dead. Elena grabbed my arm desperately. Adam, I swear I don't know what he's talking about. I believe you, I said. But we have to check. If someone planted something on you, we need to find it before he does. Her eyes flooded with tears. What if this is another trap? Oh, it is, I said quietly. It definitely is. I wrapped my fingers around hers. But we're done running. We walked back toward the stairs when a loud metallic slam echoed behind us. We spun around. The storage door had shut on its own. Another slam, another. Then footsteps, fast, heavy, approaching. From the darkness of the hallway, a silhouette stepped forward. And behind him, 3 more. Not one stalker, not 2. There were 4 of them. Elena gasped, stepping backward. My pulse shot into my throat. The first man spoke. Going somewhere? I wasn't supposed to hear that. When the call ended, the room fell into a silence so sharp it felt like the air itself was slicing through my skin. My wife, had just cried into a stranger's shoulder, telling him how broken she felt, while I stood outside, hidden like a thief, hearing her pain instead of being the one she came to. My heart wasn't just heavy. It was confused, afraid, angry, hurt. But more than anything, I needed answers. The truth, not assumptions, would decide what happened next. I lifted my fist to knock on the door. My knuckles hovered an inch from the wood. Should I walk in now? Should I confront her? Should I demand, why him? Why not me? Or should I listen longer? I lowered my hand, not because I was scared, but because the pain in her voice, and it wasn't the voice of a woman cheating. It was the voice of someone collapsing under the weight of something she had never told me. I stepped back. Maybe she needed a moment to breathe before facing me. Or maybe I needed a moment to breathe before facing her. I paced the hallway, breath unsteady. My mind replayed everything I'd heard. It's been too much. I don't want to lose him. I just needed support. Support from another man, or support because I wasn't giving it. Those were two very different truths. But right now, both hurt. Suddenly, click. Her hotel room door opened. I froze mid-step. She stepped out, wrapped in a loose cardigan, hair tied messily, eyes puffy and red. She hadn't been out drinking. She hadn't been out partying. She looked like someone who'd been drowning. In silence, her gaze met mine. Shock, fear, relief, guilt, all flickered across her face at once. "Daniel," she whispered. My name left her lips like a fragile apology. Her eyes darted around, first confused, then panicked. Why are you here? You weren't supposed to." She stopped, swallowing hard. I didn't speak, I couldn't. Too many thoughts. Too many emotions fighting for space inside me. She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly looking small, almost fragile. "Did you hear anything?" she asked, and in that tiny question, this entire trip finally made sense. Her question wasn't the question of someone hiding an affair. It was the question of someone hiding pain. Serious pain. "I heard enough," I said. She closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. "I was going to tell you," she whispered. "Just not like this. Who was that man?" My voice cracked despite my effort to stay calm. She didn't flinch, didn't lie, didn't hesitate. "He's a therapist," she said softly. The hallway tilted under my feet. "A therapist?" She nodded. "I started seeing him 3 months ago. 3 months. 3 months of business trips, 3 months of distance. 3 months of me assuming she was just busy. 3 months of her falling apart alone. Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. She broke. Not with anger. With sorrow, with regret, with a truth she'd been carrying far too long. "I didn't want to be a burden," she said, wiping her face. "You already handle so much. I thought if I told you I wasn't okay, you'd worry, or think you failed me, or feel guilty. And I couldn't let that happen." I stepped closer. She didn't step away. "That's not your decision to make," I said quietly. She nodded, trembling. "I know. And that's why I told him I'd tell you after this trip. He told me I needed to stop hiding from you, that I needed to let you in, and that's what I was preparing to do." My anger didn't disappear, but it shifted. She hadn't betrayed me. She had protected me in the wrong way, while hurting herself in the process. "And the noise I heard?" I asked. She blinked, confused, then her face flushed. "Oh my God," she covered her mouth. "That must have been me crying. I had a panic attack." He helped talk me through it. Everything inside me softened and twisted at once. Not guilt, not pity, love. A love that had been silent for too long. A love we both had neglected. A love that needed fixing, not abandoning. "Come inside," she whispered. I followed her into the room. It wasn't messy, it wasn't romantic. It wasn't suspicious, it was sad. Medication bottles on the nightstand. Crumbled tissues on the floor. A half-eaten granola bar. A journal full of scribbled pages and tear stains. My heart cracked in ways I hadn't expected. She sat on the edge of the bed, fingers trembling as she spoke. "I didn't cheat on you, Daniel. Not even close. But I did hide something important, and I'm ready to tell you everything." I sat beside her, not touching her, not rushing her, just there. "Tell me," I said. She took a deep breath, and finally opened the door to the truth that would change everything between us. The truth about her panic attacks, her work pressure, her fear of disappointing me, her emotional breakdown 3 months ago, her feeling that she wasn't enough, her silent suffering, her therapist advising her to stop burying everything. And then, the part that nearly shattered me. "I thought you wouldn't understand," she whispered. I looked at her, really looked at her, and that was the moment I realized. We were standing right at the edge of our marriage's breaking point. Not because of betrayal, but because of silence, because of fear, because of two people who loved each other, but forgot how to talk. She turned to me, eyes wide, vulnerable, begging for honesty. "So now you know everything," she whispered. "But what I don't know is what you're going to do next." And that question, that one question, would define everything that happened in the final part. Because now it wasn't just her pain on the line. It was our marriage, our trust, our future, and the decision I was about to make would either save everything or destroy it. The choice that defines everything. She sat there, shoulders shaking slightly, fingers knotted together, waiting for my answer. Waiting to see if the man she loved now would walk out the door, or stay and fight for her. Her breath trembled, and when she whispered, "What are you going to do next?" it felt like the entire room, the entire world held its breath with her. This was the climax, the moment everything we were building toward collided. I inhaled slowly, dropped my jacket onto the chair, and did the one thing she wasn't expecting. I sat closer, close enough for her to feel my heartbeat. And then I took her hands in mine. Her eyes widened, hope flickering like a candle fighting the wind. "First," I said softly, "I'm not leaving." Her lips parted, her breath shaky with relief that she didn't dare release yet. "But," I added gently, "I'm also not pretending this didn't hurt." She nodded instantly, tears forming again. "I know," she whispered. "You deserve honesty. All of it." I looked at her, the person I married, the person I loved deeply but imperfectly, and I realized something painful and undeniable. This moment wasn't just about what she had hidden. It was about what I had been blind to. "Why didn't you come to me?" I asked quietly. She exhaled like she'd been waiting to answer that for months. "Because I thought you were too strong," she said. "Too stable. Too busy holding everything together. I was scared that if I added my problems to your load, everything would collapse." I stared at her, shocked. Strong, untouchable. Is that what she thought of me? But then, wasn't that exactly how I behaved? Always solving, always fixing, always telling her, "I've got it handled." I hadn't realized how heavy that made her feel. How small, how unnecessary, and how afraid to be vulnerable. I squeezed her hand. "You weren't protecting me," I said. "You were isolating yourself." She nodded, wiping tears with the sleeve of her cardigan. "I know. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Her apology broke something inside me. Not my trust, not my faith, just the wall I had built between us without even noticing. She took a deep breath, clearly terrified, but continued. "I didn't come here to cheat. I came here to learn how to breathe again. And I was going to tell you tonight, after I worked up the courage." Her voice cracked. "But you showed up, and everything collided at once." I looked at her closely. Her messy hair, her puffy eyes, her trembling hands, her fear, her love. And then I realized something simple but powerful. This wasn't a marriage crisis. This was a communication crisis. We hadn't fallen out of love. We'd fallen out of talking. The silence between us had become a third person in our marriage, and that silence almost destroyed everything. I lifted her chin with my hand. "Look at me," I whispered. She hesitated and then raised her eyes. "We fix this together," I said. "But that means no more hiding. No more being strong for each other in the wrong ways. No more carrying pain alone." Her chest heaved with a sob as she threw her arms around me. And for the first time in months, she didn't hold back. She cried into my shoulder the way she had cried earlier into the phone. But this time she was crying on the right shoulder, mine, and I held her tight, safe, steady, because she wasn't alone anymore, and neither was I. After the tears settled, we talked, really talked for hours. We discussed her stress at work, her fear of failing, her exhaustion from pretending to be okay, her silent panic attacks. We talked about my role too, how I accidentally made her feel like she couldn't come to me with her weaknesses because I never showed mine. We talked about therapy, both hers and possibly mine, or ours together. We talked about rebuilding trust, not because she had betrayed me, but because she had hidden the parts of herself I needed to know. And she looked at me with a softness I hadn't seen in months. "I love you," she whispered. "I never stopped. I just lost myself for a while." I brushed her hair back gently. "Then let's find you again," I said. "Together." She leaned into my chest, breathing slowly, calmly, for the first time that night. The next morning felt different. Not perfect, not magically fixed, but lighter. We woke up holding hands. We ate breakfast together. We walked outside and watched the city waking up. We talked about the future without fear. And for the first time, her smile wasn't forced. Before we left the hotel, she turned to me and said, "Thank you for choosing me." I smiled. "Actually," I said, taking her hand, "I'm choosing us." And that was the moment I realized something powerful. Marriage isn't saved by perfection. It's saved by choosing each other again after the world in silence tries to pull you apart. We drove home that day with a stronger bond than we'd had in months. Not because everything was easy, but because we finally learned the most important truth. Love doesn't break when tested. It breaks when ignored, and it heals when shared. And now we were sharing everything, together.